The latest in a long list of court cases that have captured our attention over the years, and tonight we look at two more. It was 22 years ago this April. A man was convicted of the bizarre and brutal murders of an entire family in Barrington. April 20th, 1993, Christopher Hightower found guilty of murdering his former business associate and friend, Ernest Brendel, with a crossbow, strangling his wife Alice and their daughter Emily. Prosecutors say Hightower blamed Brendel for the collapse of Hightower's business. Hightower serving a sentence of life without parole, just the seventh person to receive that sentence in Rhode Island at the time. And a decade before that, a brutal case involving a baby murdered. 4-month-old Jerri Ann Richard disappeared from her Pawtucket home. Her parents would report her kidnapped, but later were charged when the infant was found murdered. But tonight, the case remains officially unsolved. NBC 10's Mario Hilario returned to the scene of the crime in Pawtucket.
Please, whoever has my baby, please bring her back. She's only 4 months old.
Few who remember the case can forget a mother's desperate plea to find her infant daughter.
Every officer, every uniformed officer, all the federal help we had, the state help that we had, searched everywhere.
Pawtucket Police Captain of Detectives John Seebeck was a patrolman when Jerri Ann disappeared. More than 30 years later, he took us back to the scene of the crime, the Richards' apartment in an old mill building, and the block away where Jerri Ann was eventually found.
Police have now confirmed that a baby has been found.
Tentatively identified as 4-month-old Jerri Ann Richard.
But soon a parent's worst nightmare would put those parents in the spotlight of suspicion. Donna Richard eventually charged with murdering her baby. Ralph Richard accused of sexually molesting her. The judge ordered the two be tried separately, Ralph Richard first.
It was one of the first cases I've ever seen on TV, and just about everything was shown, everything that went on in the trial.
A televised trial that lasted some 8 weeks and became tense at times.
1 second, both of you gentlemen. I'll see both of you gentlemen at 12:30.
Richard himself took the stand in his own defense, maintaining his innocence.
I was so upset. All I could do was scream.
Not guilty.
But in May of 1986, Ralph Richard was found not guilty of first-degree child molestation. With his acquittal, prosecutors could not introduce key evidence at Donna's murder trial and dropped the charges against her. And there was another revelation that may have had an impact on the outcome of the case.
During the course of the investigation, it was learned that prior to Jerri Ann disappearing, 2 Pawtucket police officers on patrol saw a ladder against the building leading up to the Richards' window. Investigating, they went up the ladder, entered the apartment, and saw the family sleeping.
So could someone else have done the same thing? In 2000, the I-Team uncovered letters and a recording kept by the baby's grandmother from a man who claimed he saw 2 men enter the Richards' apartment the night of the kidnapping. Police investigated the lead, but no one's ever been charged.
Somebody died, a baby died, and nobody's been brought to justice.
Ralph and Donna Richard had 2 other children, but have since divorced and live out of state. Ralph Richard served time in the 90s for drug trafficking. His attorney at trial, John O'Connor, still living in Rhode Island, and said he could not comment for this story due to legal reasons. The Attorney General at the time, Arlene Violet. She tells me the severing of the trials was a major blow to the state's case. She feels justice was not done, but this 40-year veteran of the Pawtucket Police Force hopes it still can, asking anyone with information to please come forward, even now.
There's a baby dead here, and we'd follow that up to the end.
Mario Hilario, NBC 10 News.
Interesting.